This is Robert Murgolacci, the Mindshare Learning Report, Canada's Learning and Technology e-magazine, and the Mindshare workspace here in the Air Mills Town Center. I'm honored to have a very special guest today joining us, none other than Tom Barlow, singer-songwriter who's been nominated for 4 Juno Awards, and he's playing the CNE this coming Tuesday. We'll be doing a gig with us here kindly next Wednesday night, and he's playing the Shore this evening down in Port Credit. If you happen to be available, Tom, thank you for joining me, fellow York University alumni.
Great to see you, Rob. How you doing?
I'm well. I'm the last time we talked, you had me on your show during COVID. My, how things have changed since then, and God, what a great show you had going. And talk to us a little bit about the inspiration behind that and what's in store for you this fall.
Well, the inspiration for the show was I was living with a musician. A friend of mine, Rickford, had moved in, and we weren't working, we weren't doing anything, and we were going kind of stir crazy, and nobody was really connecting the artists to the clubs or the artists to each other. So we said, let's do a little TV show and let's talk to musicians. They don't have anywhere to play. Let's give them a platform to play so they can still be heard. And let's get club owners in to talk about how they're surviving, when they think they'll get live music back. And then, as the pandemic got longer and longer and there was more misinformation out there, we thought, let's also get healthcare professionals.
Amazing.
Let's get microbiologists. Let's get people who know what they're actually talking about on. So that was it. We had some science, we had some music, and we had some community business people, and we just tried to, support each other.
People tell me I'm a connector, and that's one of my gifts that I've nurtured over time. But you are, and I've enjoyed. I mean, we've been connected for 30 plus years, since the time when you honed your craft through the pubs of York University.
Since the 80s.
Yeah, it's yeah, we're pushing 40 years thereabouts. Yeah. And look at us, we're still connected. It's about relationships, and it's about making an impact. And when I come out to your shows, or when you do the gigs at York, we had the 50th anniversary. I was just wearing that T-shirt the other day at Stong, and you kindly played that special event, and the joy that you bring to people and making those human connections. That's the secret sauce. It's unparalleled, and that was a missing link during the pandemic. And so, what's it like now, getting back in the saddle and playing the Shore tonight? You've done a few gigs, live gigs this summer, no doubt.
Well, it was a bit weird. I've never really not played music since the age of 17. I've been playing music as a profession, and often every day. So to not perform for almost 2 years, it was weird, because you put that guitar on, you're like, am I going to remember how to do this? Am I going to
right
songs?
Yeah.
My finger's going to know what to do. So that was exciting, and it was nice to be nervous and excited again. And the other thing I think it really brought to me and to a lot of other musicians was the gratitude of performing. Because when you've done it for 40 years, sometimes you step on that stage and you're thinking about your taxes or what time you're going to get home, and so it was really nice to be present and to understand the gift that is being a professional musician and performing for people.
Amazing. Now, for the record, you did a phys ed, Faculty of Education degree at York University. You are a certified teacher.
Yes.
Yet you pursued another passion, and that says a lot about career trajectories and the path not always being direct, as was the case for me in my career in economics and sport administration. Now I'm in ed tech and running a co-working space. Talk to me about that kind of pivot that you made back in the day, and your parents must have kind of wondered, no doubt, about what the heck you were up to, but you've made a career of it.
Well, I think of university degrees as a tool, and I think tools obviously are very important. It doesn't mean you have to use that tool. It's just nice to have. It's like a power drill sitting in the basement. I
Yeah.
need a power drill one day. I don't have to. Well, I own a power drill, so I got to be power drilling every day. It doesn't work like that. So I had this tool available to me. I worked hard for it. It cost me some money. I'm grateful to have that tool. I may one day need it. I haven't so far, which has been great. But I don't think the fact that you have a tool, that tool should dictate your life or your career or your passion. It can't. And I think
Right.
you'll be disappointed.
Well, I can relate to that because we are doing a home renovation right now, and my boys and I and some friends tore out 800 square feet of tile,
Well,
screening, and cement, and we did it in 7 hours. And everyone I talked to said, "Don't do it. Don't do it yourself. It's going to be a disaster." You know
right.
what? I try to discover the joy in everything I do, and I enjoyed that. You know, using some brute strength and, perhaps being Italian and having that construction DNA embedded helped a little bit. But it really is, I admire the fact that you control your life and you do what you want to do. And I think that's the secret in life that people don't realize that is the gift when you figure it out. Like I've been doing the last 20 plus years since I launched Kevin O'Leary's startup, and he inspired me to go on my own. And my wife kind of wonders what I do every day, but
It's
we
working.
managed to make a live. It's working, but it's honing your craft, honing your skills. The notion of everyone's read Malcolm Gladwell's famous book, whatever it was called now. I'm escaping. I read a few of them. That talks about the 10,000 hour rule. You honed many of those hours were honed in the pubs at York.
Yeah. I mean,
It,
I'm skeptical of the 10,000 hours. It's funny you bring it up because I just read
yeah,
something yesterday.
it's not 10,000 hours.
The reason they picked 10,000 hours is
Yeah.
it was I think it was a Chinese, it could have been a Japanese, I don't remember, study. And the character for work and success uh, looked like 10.
Oh, okay.
1,000 hours because the character looked like that. But obviously, you need a lot of hours. But I don't think we should get hung up on it. I know singer songwriters. We take Buddy Holly for example.
Yeah.
Buddy Holly, of the first 10 songs he wrote, 5 of them were massive hits that people know to this day.
The first 5.
The first 5. So
Wow.
when he was on Ed Sullivan, and Ed Sullivan says, "Well, buddy, how many songs have you written now?" He goes, "Well, I've written 6, and those were Peggy Sue and Oh Boy, and some of the biggest rock and roll hits ever." So,
Some of the ones that you play.
but I used to play a lot of rock really back in the day. I think for young people, there's something about experience which is irreplaceable. But I know a guy who pulled out a tile floor with no experience and was happy to do the job and happy to try it and open. I lost you for a second, Robert. Am I back?
You're back. You're
Okay.
back.
But yeah, you talk about the show that we did.
Yeah.
I was going to bed and I said to Rickford, "Do you want to do a TV show tomorrow?" He goes, "What?" I said, "Let's just do a TV show." We didn't have lighting. We didn't know what we were doing.
Right.
We didn't have 10,000 hours. We had 0 hours.
Yeah.
But, it's not like if you fail at it, you're going to lose an eyeball. If you fail at it, you're going to go,
Right.
"We failed at that. Do you want to keep trying this and making it better?" And then, we got help and we got professionals involved and it evolved into something. So I'm not saying that the 10,000 hours, the hard work, the dedication, the experience aren't of value. Of course they're of value. But I don't think that we can let those paralyze us into saying, "I can't be a songwriter because I haven't been working on it," or "I can't go out and perform because I haven't rehearsed for 10,000 hours." There is something to be said for jumping in and trying stuff. If the downside is not dangerous,
Right.
then just, I'm not saying brain surgery, but stand up in front of a crowd and sing some songs, and maybe you're terrible.
Yeah. Great advice. Talk to me about your album. So you've got a new album coming out.
Yeah. So
I remember I was going to say one of the highlights for me was I think you opened for Carlos Santana once. I was at the concert and you gave away this sample album. I hadn't seen you in a long time. My kids listen to your music. They love your music and they're millennials. So you appeal to a broad spectrum of baby boomers like me and millennials.
yeah, I mean, for the creative process for me is something I can't not do. I just feel very unfulfilled. My life does not have the same level of joy unless I'm creating. No, that could be
Cool.
a song, that could be a music video, that could be a TV show.
I could
Um,
relate to that because that's a lot of what we do in our work as well,
again,
creating in different
um,
ways.
obviously, like I don't want to be the guy who diminishes hard work. Without hard work, there's nothing.
Yeah.
Um, but when it comes to the new album, obviously I had 2 years in COVID with which to write songs, and that sort of reflects in the songs, and that the tone is sometimes darker and sometimes joyful. And the
Hmm.
song "The Wizard," which is the first single that we just released, was going
Right.
to be released 2 years ago, and we were just
Wow.
starting to get it out there, and then COVID hit, and we couldn't tour and we couldn't play, and we had to stop it. So it was difficult to have that song sitting around for 2 years and only finally release it. But that song is about the opioid crisis, and
Right.
I'm very proud of that song and the message that it sends. And I think it's, one of the gifts of being an artist is you get to highlight things that you think are important in the world.
I've talked about that crisis, and I wonder during the federal election why it wasn't made more of an issue when it's happening on a national scale. And I have a friend whose daughter passed away sadly, from an overdose. I've been to Vancouver and I've walked, along East Hastings and on my way to a conference 3 days in a row. I was, I was saddened to see the extent of, because we don't see that in the same way in suburban Mississauga. You
Yeah,
see
but
some of that, right?
I mean, it's more in your face in
Right.
sections of Vancouver. But if you take 5 minutes and talk to just about anyone, everyone has been touched by this.
100%.
And the only reason I can think of, if this many people were dying in cars or in plane crashes every year,
Yeah.
it would be the number one story, and there would be outrage and there would be change. But
Right.
we have stigma. The bottom line is it's stigma. And there is a sense that
Yeah.
uh,
Losing you a little bit.
I lost you again, but am I
Yeah.
back?
Yeah. You're back.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. So it can be nothing other than stigma, because the catastrophic uh, loss of lives. Um, there's no other way that we can explain this other than there's a stigma to it. People are uncomfortable talking about it, and people running for office don't want to make it a major plank in their platforms because
Right.
they don't think it sells. And
Yeah. That's unfortunate because
that's the tragedy of it, because this is a preventable, manageable crisis. I just
100%.
when we released our music video at the release party, we did an hour of naloxone training where we had a pharmacist come in and say, "This is what a naloxone kit looks like. This is how you
Amazing.
do it." Everyone got to go home with a naloxone kit. Everyone should have one. Everyone should know how to do it. In the same way, an EpiPen.
Right.
Far more people are dying of opioid overdoses than are dying of allergic reactions. But to
And
study an
and what about the number of people that died from COVID versus opioid
yeah, so
opioid overdose?
one of my I think responsibilities as an artist is to reflect the society I live in, and the society I live in is not comfortable discussing this issue, and that's why I wrote a song about it.
Good for you.
About Richard Sackler and the Purdue family, and how this was a manufactured, profitable epidemic. And yeah, I encourage people to check out the video. It's called The Wizard, and if you Google my name, Barlow, and The Wizard, it should come up.
Talk to me about your music, and what do you have a favorite song that you've written? Clarice comes to mind. My kids like Clarice. I think that was one, and I'm trying to think of the other one. Do you have a favorite?
Oh, you were gone. Now we're back.
Yes, I was asking if you had a favorite song that you've written.
Oh, it's always the latest one. You know, one of the things about being an artist is you think your brand new song is the best thing you've ever done, and you need some distance from it to go, that's a piece of crap, or you know what, that is pretty good. So right now, the song I'm working on right now is the best song I've ever written. It's my favorite one, but we'll see a month from now where that sits.
How tough is it to match, and top the song, the best song that you've made? Like, what's that like when you've had great success? I'm sharing your Barlow community website right now.
Well, success is success is it's a thing that the word changes meaning as you age and as you evolve as a person. So success might have been getting on TV, or success might have been, massive concerts. It's becoming more art-centered to me. Is this great art? Am I proud of this art? Am I going to be proud of this song 10 years from now? And it's weird looking back at your catalog. It's a bit like looking at your high school yearbook.
Yeah.
Why did I think that mullet was cool? Or how could I possibly have worn those clothes? But at the time you thought it was cool. So sometimes you look back at songs with a bit of embarrassment. The key, I think, for creating is the goal must be to create great art. Everything else has to be secondary. Making art should not be a career plan. Making art should be a passion that's driven by wanting to connect with people and connect with your own self and your own artistry.
Well said. I was just at an event recently in Baltimore, and I met the superintendent from Minnesota. 52 years as a superintendent. I'm looking across the room. I'm thinking the table.
Okay. I think I'm back.
Yeah. So I'm the superintendent's 52-year career as a superintendent. This guy was like 80 years old plus. And I said to him, and I'm going to do a podcast with him, I said, the guy's a legend. I said, Larry, what was your secret to success? And he said, every day I came in the office, I wondered what I could do better.
Right.
How simple is that?
I get questions all the time. I try to mentor young artists.
Yeah.
And I always feel a little bit sad when their obsession is followers on TikTok, followers on Instagram, streams, likes. Yes, that's important because you're trying to build a career. And yes, you don't want to have to keep working at Starbucks because you want to be a professional musician. I understand that. But when the focus shifts to that, oftentimes the art suffers. And
100%.
My advice to people is worry less about going viral and worry more about being great. Make the thing great.
Yeah.
Success will follow that. Otherwise, it seems like you're chasing.
How long does it take you to create one song? What's the range in days or hours or weeks?
There are songs that come out almost fully formed in 15 minutes.
Wow.
I don't know where that comes from, but it happens. And there's songs that you're tweaking literally for a year. So there's no way, if there was a formula, I would follow the formula and every song I had would be a hit and life would be easy. But there's just no way. And that's the crazy thing about art is the amount of work you put into a song does not reflect how good the song is.
Right.
It's a magical, spiritual thing that's beyond our
Yeah. You
control.
got to create the right environment. I find that with my book writing. I'm writing a book, The Art of Networking in the Digital Age. And I can whip off words, but it has to be the right time of day and the right environment. Sitting in my backyard, having a cocktail, at the end of the day, it's a little easier than when you're in the middle of, day-to-day tasks, right? You can't, that creative side isn't, oozing at that time.
Sorry, you cut out there, Rob. I didn't get the first
Yeah.
half of your question.
No, I was commenting on how I'm writing a book, and my creative side comes more at the end of the day and creating the right environment
Right.
to be creative.
And this is the thing, you have to be sensitive to when you work best. And for some people, that might be
Right.
first thing in the morning with a rigid schedule of I'm going to work on my art, whether that's writing a book or a song or painting, whatever. I'm going to do this for 3 hours every morning, or I'm going to do it at night. Whatever works for you, you just have to be sensitive to it and also understand that some days it's not there and it's not going to come. And it's going to feel forced and it's going to be forced. And some days it's going to be something that takes you over and that you work on it for 12 hours straight and you don't even come up for air. That is the magic part of the creative process.
Amazing. Now, talk to me about your upcoming events. You've got tonight at the Shore, next Tuesday at the CNE. That's awesome.
So I love playing the CNE because probably like you, we've been going there since we were little kids.
Yeah.
I used to see bands on those big stages and think it was that they were from outer space, magical. And now I get to be that guy. So that's really exciting. Yeah, so tonight, which is Thursday, I'm at Shore. Tomorrow, I'm at Shore again. And next Tuesday, CNE. Next Wednesday, a couple of songs for yours truly.
Oh my goodness, that's so fantastic! I can't wait to host you here. And Tom, final thoughts to share for our startups and community members in the Mississauga area who are involved in education and work and learning. You will be back in one moment. Technology is great when it works. We've been having a bit lag, Ivana. We're lagging a bit.
Okay, I think I got that. Final thoughts?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'm an entrepreneur in the fact that I've always had to hustle my own business. And my advice to entrepreneurs, which I sort of touched on earlier, is, what is the thing you're doing? Is it the thing itself? Is it important to you? And to spend your energy on that thing that is important. Understanding you have to sell it, understanding you have to market it, understanding all of those other things, but never let the cart get before the horse.
Yeah.
And to keep your energy on the thing and not on the selling of the thing. And if the thing is great, it will be much easier to sell.
Brilliantly said. My former boss, Kevin O'Leary, had an Instagram post recently that said, after 36 months, if you don't have revenue, it's a hobby.
Yeah. Right. It's an interesting thing because it could be a hobby. It can be a hobby, but there's many great examples of artists who had their first success in their 40s or in their 50s.
Yeah.
So I think that life is too binary for people. This is a job or this is a hobby. And you know what? You don't have to pick a team. It can be your hobby that you're passionate about, that you do with the mind that one day it will be my job. Maybe not today, maybe not in 10 years, maybe not in 20 years. But you don't have to put everything on one side or the other.
So eloquently said, Tom. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon.
Thanks a lot for having me on.
Perhaps we'll see you later this evening at the Shore. That was Tom Barlow of the Tom Barlow Community, singer-songwriter, 4 times nominated Juno Awards, playing the CNE next Tuesday and the Mindshare Workspace the following Wednesday. Until next time, stay healthy, stay safe, and keep the learning curve steep.